Happy Friday, everybody. We're back with another Fireside Fridays. This week's edition sees Sarah Dennis, an experienced design manager with the UX team here in Dublin, join us to talk all things UX, experience, design, and video. And the video piece is really, really interesting because we have recently launched our artificial intelligence-driven dashcam. So let me bring Sarah in. Sarah, happy Friday.
Hi. Happy Friday.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say that for the last 3-4 years or whatever it is now, your life has revolved around video, integrated video and dash
I never
cams.
thought it would, but yeah. And it's been fun. It's been amazing, and it's a really interesting experience to design for sure.
Well, why don't we just start right there and tell us what exactly is it that you do at Connect? And
so I joined Connect about 6 years ago. I've kind of worked on most parts of the product, and as you kind of said, most recently in the past few years, I've been working on video. So I joined there as a senior designer. I was really fortunate to get the opportunity to join there. And then over time, about a year or so into my time there, I got promoted to a design manager, which was great. It was on my career development goals. And a typical like day to day for me is like there's 5 designers on my team and a good few researchers and a content writer, and collaborating with the CFT. So kind of my role as a manager is to make sure that the processes are going smoothly. My team has the tools and the relevant information that they need to do their jobs, and making sure they're kind of delivering on the business objectives that we have, and obviously delivering a great experience to our customers. And most of my time is very much about collaborating with people at my level. So my product counterpart, which is Jean, and I have a number of engineering managers that I work day to day with. So constantly looking at our roadmaps, constantly reprioritizing things, and making sure we're doing the right stuff to get the right value out to our customers. So that's kind of typically what it looks like.
So that's okay. So let me just unpack that a tiny bit for a second. So you came in as a designer, senior designer, and found yourself with a plan, which was to progress into experienced leadership, and managed to do that in Verizon Connect. You talked there. You touched on your team, which includes design and design leadership and research. But you mentioned the CFTs as well. So tell me a little bit about that team thing into the CFT thing.
Yeah, so obviously there's design in its own discipline. We have in the UX team, we have designers and researchers and content writers, and we also have some customer focused folk and hardware. So we have a wide range there. But some of those individuals are embedded in CFTs, and some of them kind of come in and out of those CFTs. So on video, we very much embrace the CFT model. So you'd have your product, your engineer, and your designer, and then other people will come in and out of that CFT, and maybe it's not necessarily a triangle anymore, it turns into a bit of a hexagon or an octagon at times. We bring the researcher in when you need it, and the content writer. We also have data scientists as well. And we have other people, right? We have go-to-market and sales, and so they'll be brought into the cross-functional team as well. It's not just, your classic product UX and engineering, but like on a day-to-day, like one of my designers will work with a product owner and an engineering lead, and they're ultimately responsible to deliver on, I guess, the business objectives that we set. So the initiatives that are kind of defined by the leadership team, and we hand it off to them, and we kind of leave them to make the decisions on how those problems get solved and give them as much autonomy as possible. And it works really well. Like the teams really enjoy it. You see the benefit of it. We ship things faster, we're leaner, and the people really enjoy that autonomy, right? Like there's nothing more than getting the opportunity to make all those decisions and drive something into productions that customers enjoy.
Okay, so I'm taking from that you're enablers in many ways for both the business and leadership as well, of course, to think commercially about what they're doing. And you mentioned product there. You talk about Jean. So we're talking about Jean Higgins, right?
Yeah, Jean Higgins. Yeah.
So Jean, I think, is an amazing human being, right? She's trying to drive bee initiatives for the pollinators out there. She's
blood drive.
The blood drive, one of my favorite things that and our own team were involved in doing one on the back of seeing what Jean was involved in. She got to put it onto our Citizen Verizon portal, if I remember correctly. And, she's a really passionate person. But beyond that, she's one of the few people who by DNA, without even thinking about it, is able to hire on potential. Right. So I worked with her on a product role some time back, and she was able to identify potential in people. She just wanted to know that she could work with them and would figure out, do they have the skill set along the way? I thought it was phenomenal to see it in action,
Yeah. No, she's brilliant, and she has a really great product team. We have a really great variety of people there, lots of different backgrounds. I think that's the great thing about CFTs that we do have. I think it goes back to that. There's like conversations even in the UX community around like needing degrees, needing design backgrounds, et cetera. And like, I think even from the UX team's point of view, but also from Jean's product, is like trying to hire diversity, and whether that's the person themselves and their background, but also diversity in terms of their experience and their career. And like we have that on the UX team as well. But like Jean has a really great variety there, and my team is really like a really nice mixed bag, really interesting backgrounds, and they just all blend together, and it offers some really interesting strengths. And when you combine them all together, it definitely creates magic in certain parts of the collaboration process, for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I love the CFT model. I guess comes from that, originally from that sort of Spotify approach, or we would have adopted parts of that. But you kind of touched on something a little bit different there. There's flexibility in your adoption of the CFT approach, right? You mentioned people dipping in and dipping out.
Yeah, like there's always that classic like triad of product, UX, and engineering. But I think when you definitely bring hardware into it, adds another layer of complexity. So I would have worked previously on the Field product, and it's very software focused. And then when you bring hardware in, like it just brings in, and you have so many other people you need to collaborate with. Like I never had collaborated with a hardware engineer before, or data products, or legal, for example, or go to markets. Like there's a lot of lead up and planning that has to go around hardware, which was a great experience, and you definitely learn a lot from that. And so we have to bring those people in and out. They might not be consistently involved in a product lifecycle from beginning to end, like the core CFT, but they do come in and out, and they have to play a role in that, because ultimately we need them to help us ship it, right? We need to make sure it's all above board. We need to make sure, the research is done, the content is done, we have the data to back it all up. It's all going to work from an engineering perspective. So yeah, everyone's important, plays a role in it. It's just that core CFT is kind of, they're the ones driving it and leading it and kind of orchestrating it. If you kind of look at it as like an orchestra, you have all these people and there's core parts of it, but it is a really big orchestra that needs to be kind of planned out and driven by some really core people on the team.
All right. So you went, you went onto the Field team. Right, so we're
when I joined Verizon Connect, I joined 6 years ago. So I think our design team was about 6 people at that point. I think I was maybe number 7 or 8 that Donal had hired. And at that time we had started being embedded on it. So I would have worked in like the really depths of legacy areas of our product, which is like reports and alerts and the live map. And then I got the opportunity to go to Field, which was great because we built that product from scratch. You don't get to do that often in your design careers, to build a product from scratch. And it's probably one of the best times in my career.
Okay, I think we have lost connectivity there. Let me just.
My connection's gone. It's back. Sorry, apologies.
We're back. Yeah. Was that me or you?
I sit right beside. I think that was me.
I sit right beside an access point.
No worries.
That direction, and it's always dropping. So that's okay. So
I don't know where I stopped talking there.
Somewhere after number 8 onto the UX team.
Yeah. So I worked on Core Reveal for a little while, and then I went on to Field. And then I joined Video, and it was the first time that I got to work in design for hardware, which was a completely new experience for me.
Yeah.
And definitely challenging, but a really good challenge and really great for career development as well, because you have to think really holistically, and there's a lot of components to designing for something like that.
Tell me about that because that is very true. But tell me about it from your, through the schema through which you view the world, that holistic knowledge.
Yeah. So like when I think of like the field product and the scheduler, right? Like we obviously have to think of that end-to-end experience. Somebody is scheduling a job for a plumber and getting them out into the world, but there's no hardware attached to that. So like on video, like we have to think about like how is the hardware packaged? Where does it go to get delivered? And what does that install experience look like? Because that's really important. And for like how does that feel for customers who are installing our devices or other people installing that? And also like troubleshooting that, like, and sometimes installs can go a little bit awry, like having support around that. So we have to design like, how do we design and help our internal teams support our customers as well? Like we're involved in that, which is very service design focused. And then that experience of like active use. So like getting their videos for the first time, what does that feel like for them? And teaching them about the product and how to get value from it in terms of like making their fleet safer. And then there's like the maintaining part, right? So you have the device installed, you're using it, but what happens if something becomes faulty or something stops working? And we need to help them maintain that and support that as well. So like you're looking from all the points of like from buying it all the way to like just supporting the product long term while it's in the vehicle. So it's really big and broad. And the moment you bring hardware into it, you have to think about the teams in your company that are supporting that as well. So like, for example, with the field product, it was a software product. So it didn't need a lot of support of other teams to make that product work. But with hardware, you have GCS, service support, deployment, and the install teams. There's many other teams that I'm not even aware of that need to make that happen. And we need to work with them, right? We can't just go around implementing processes or changing things. We need to work with them to help us do those things. So, it's definitely a lot more stakeholder management, lots more collaboration, lots more understanding of other people's processes and workflows and how we connect all that to the customer experience. So it requires a lot of thinking, a lot of networking, and just lots of thinking holistically, lots of mapping, lots of journey mapping. That's for sure.
Mapping. I love it. It's really great to hear you describe that, because when we're selfishly thinking about the talent acquisition team, when my team goes out right the way across the world looking for UXers, right, to come in and join us, 9 times out of 10 you're going to talk to somebody who's done software or software related systems, maybe middleware to a certain degree, and that kind of thing too. But that hardware piece adds extra complexity into it.
Sure.
And you span the work. But your team does an awful lot more than that now. These days, you do service design. There's the industrial piece.
And we have to collaborate with a lot more teams. Like, for example, like I'm on the video team. We have the connected device team. Like they work with the install experience. We also have our hardware team as well. So they're industrial designers. So we have to collaborate with them. We have our CX team as well. So they're doing a lot of the service design and mapping. So it's a lot of collaborating across different design disciplines, which is really interesting. And I think that's one of the great things about being a designer here at Verizon Connect is like, I come in as a UX designer, but I get to interact with these other kind of designers that maybe are more niche in their discipline. So a lot of UX designers will be generalists, but the fact that we have these other disciplines of design, and even within our research and content teams, and you get exposed to that, and you could pivot your career if you find that particularly interesting, or learn. It offers you other ways to learn. Because I've never designed hardware before or done industrial design, but I get to work with industrial designers. My boss has a background in industrial design, and I learn a lot from him. I might not have a degree in it, but I actually pick up that stuff and learn it and bring it into the way that I'm thinking. So that's probably one of the greater things about working on the UX.
We're talking about Matt O'Sullivan here, right?
O'Sullivan. Yeah. The big boss.
Yeah. Well, Matt's a great guy, really.
Yeah, he's great.
I think Matt is the kind of character who has a lot of, a part of his makeup is that he's quite visionary in many kind of
Oh yeah,
ways.
for sure.
Yeah.
And he brings that to the team as well. And me and him definitely we balance each other out that way. I'm the organizer and he's the visionary, and we work
Ah,
together. And yeah, it
yeah.
works. Like he has a really great, approach to it all, a really great vision, and he knows what he wants the product to be, and he's great in terms of directing the team to do that and helping me and my counterpart Lorenzo, who's a lead IC on my team. We work quite closely together to set that vision. So yeah.
Lorenzo Masci.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lorenzo joined us maybe 2020,
Yeah, about 3 years
2021.
ago. Yeah, he's my partner in crime.
Yeah, if I remember with Lorenzo, he joined us and he took part in one of the hackathons and became a
Yeah,
finalist
yeah.
from
He's been a
with
finalist multiple times, but yet to win. But I believe he will win one day. I do tell
always
him that way.
always not a case of always a bridesmaid then,
Yeah.
right?
But he's phenomenal. Like him and Matt together, it's like a little bit of a powerhouse. They're really great visionaries, always
Yeah.
thinking about the future and where we're going to go. And like Lorenzo's always pushing for that next thing. Like where can this go? How can we improve this? What's this going to look like in 2 or 3 years' time? And then Matt's looking even further than that. And then yeah, my job is to make it happen, make their visions and their dreams kind of come true and get it delivered into the product. So it's a good
I
partnership.
love
So,
that.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. Only this morning, every Friday morning, we have our TA staff call, but we were talking about ideas, IDA. Like we're always trying to come up with different ideas to attract people into the business.
Yeah.
99% of the time, what we're doing is we're talking to you, and we're that becomes a story that we put out there. But you have to keep trying to generate ideas and spin the wheel to get out there, figure out what works, fail fast, move on, all those lean principles applied.
Yeah.
But one of the things we were talking about was the first follower principle, where it's cool to come up with the idea, but if you don't get that person, that Sarah Dennis, who's going to come in and actually not just adopt but enable that idea and make it happen, it just it fizzles, right?
Yeah,
so
like, and it's a good structure that we have on the team, and I think it's like we've worked really hard to map out like the career path on the UX team that would allow for a role like mine and a role like Lorenzo's to exist and to have that kind of partnership. And because like I bring strengths, Lorenzo brings strengths, and we kind of balance each other out. And like, if he's trying to pursue a particular kind of approach to something, I can help him do that, or it might not happen straight away. I think that's something as well. Like hardware is slow. Hardware takes time and it can slow things down. So some of the stuff that we would like to do does take a little bit longer. And it's just about having faith in one another that we will get there. It takes, as you said, that lean iterative approach. It takes time to iterate and pivot and constantly kind of working towards where we want to go.
We have a question has come in from Shakira Hannum, who is our resident product and experience TA expert on the team. So she has a question. Shakira says, I love that you're able to learn and gain experience in other areas of experience design by just working with the team and CFTs. What would be your advice for the people who are looking to have a career and to change into UX? So they want a career in UX, they want to make that change. What's your advice?
I think my main advice is like, don't put too much weight on the technical skills of UX design. So my original background is computer science. I never studied design. So I studied computer science, and I'd always wanted to I've always been creative, but I can't draw, I can't paint, I can't do any of those things. But I've always enjoyed solving problems. I was really obsessed with Art Attack as a child. I loved inventing things and stuff like that. My mom was constantly tossing stuff into the bin, all these weird contraptions I created. But when I came across UX design when I was in Google as an engineer, I was like, that's something that I want to do. But I had no design background. At the time, UX really wasn't the thing. It was called other things, but wasn't what it is today. And when I wanted to do that career switch, I really put a lot of emphasis on the design skills and stuff like that. But something I've learned, particularly now as I've become a manager and I've been interviewing candidates and stuff like that, and looking at like what a good fit for the company is, it's like, there's transferable skills. So like getting things done is really important being a UX designer. And like, as I said before, we give our designers a lot of autonomy, even our researchers and content writers, right? So I'm hiring you to do a job and I'm trusting you to do it. So it's all about getting things done and getting things through, but also like working with your CFT, right? You can't die on every single hill as a designer. You need to be able to compromise and move things forward. So that's one thing, like that's definitely a transferable skill. Like emphasis on your ability to create strong relationships. Again, that's a really tangible thing and it's super powerful. And it's more powerful than anything that you could probably do in Figma. Like it's all about influence, collaborating, and building those partnerships that can get, like, as I described earlier with Lorenzo and I, getting those visions through. Like my partnership with Jean helps me do that, and my other counterparts in engineering and that kind of thing, and also like investing in others. So that was definitely something that I looked for in like candidates that I wanted to hire, or people that were maybe doing that career switch. Is like, when were there times where you try to improve a working environment or your team's experience as well? Like that's a really powerful thing, investing in others and helping your team be better. So if you have experiences like that, definitely lean on those. And don't sweat the design stuff. Like the design stuff, like that stuff is easy to learn. Like these other things are, I wouldn't maybe call them soft skills, but they're kind of just dealing with people and working with people and building relationships. Like that stuff is really powerful, and put some emphasis in that when you're trying to make that role switch. Because it's definitely something I was looking for when I was hiring people that were maybe trying to do that switch or were new in their career. And the pixels will come. Like all that stuff is learnable. Like that stuff is really easy to learn. It's that other stuff that can really set you apart from other people if you're trying to do that switch and get your first job.
Yeah, that ties in a lot with some of the things that we, on the TA team, we're not designers.
Yeah.
But we have to look for certain things and be able to identify them and talk about them. And we take that kind of Spotify model approach as well and get our recruiters embedded to a certain degree with your team. And we try to bring that out to the talent marketplace. But one of the things that we learned along the way was not necessarily to look for that beautiful cornflower blue portfolio piece. It's not that. What we were looking for was actually the process, right? And so we start going through these portfolios, and they're so beautiful. Of course, many designers will make beautiful things. But then what we were trying to identify was, did you get to the end of this process? What happened then? And that was something for us that helped us to distinguish between,
and to show like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like if you asked any UXer on my team, like nothing goes the way that you plan it to go, and that's what makes a riveting story, because that's the reality. I'm sure it's the same for you in your day-to-day. Nothing ever goes to plan, and it's all about how you respond to when it doesn't go to plan. Like what happens when you deal with those problems or challenges. Like we're on the UX team, we're very much looking for like solution orientated leaders. Like there are going to be challenges, there are going to be technical limitations. We're not going to get the ideal experience that we always want, but we have to be okay with that and work around it and find an alternative way of doing it. And having that attitude is really important. It shows a level of maturity that's way more valuable than moving a pixel around on the screen. Like that stuff can be learned and trained, for sure.
Brilliant. Love it. Potential and the kind of, that those core gluey ABCs that actually make the magic. Okay. So just to bring it back to, if you don't mind, to the product for a minute. So you're into integrated video, we're into dash cams, we're into that magical world. Your baby. So if you're okay with this, let's absolutely throw your baby up on the screen and have a look at the dash cam vid for a moment, and I'll come back to you then.
Great.
Here it is, the new AI dash cam from Verizon Connect. It's smarter, sleeker, and it's got 2 cameras, one for your drivers and one for the road. So you and your team can stay connected like never before. Now you can see what your driver sees and see your drivers. The camera's enhanced AI can help your team stay alert to danger outside the vehicle, like
lane departure.
And it lets you see things like harsh cornering, speeding, rolling stops, and tailgating. And whether it's a cargo van or a truck, the camera also detects danger inside the vehicle at the same time, including drowsiness. cell phone use, and other distracted driving, all in real time.
Pedestrian ahead.
And you can always stay connected from the office or on the go to provide your team with crucial feedback and reward good driving. The AI Dashcam from Verizon Connect. Eyes on the road and behind the wheel.
I just can't watch that
video
enough. I know, it's just brilliant. But
Intense.
it's so, I mean, there's so much in there. There's so much driver safety, pedestrian safety, all of the efficiencies the product brings. And behind it are thousands and thousands and thousands of hours and countless number of people, including you, who have brought this to the market, right?
Yeah.
So yesterday after work yesterday, I was bringing one of my kids to her camogie training, GAA camogie training. And I had my son with me, who's 3 and bold and very fast, right? He's amazing. But I also had the dog with me as well.
Oh, God.
So my hands were full.
You were definitely setting yourself up for something there.
Yeah, failure, right? Yeah. And 3 times, my son went to run out on the road.
God.
Okay. Now, nothing bad happened. There were no children harmed in the making of this story, but it was the first time with him that my eyes were opened to how dangerous things were going to be for him for the next while till we get him trained up on road safety and that. Tell me from your perspective, right? This might be a tricky question, but tell me from your perspective how your job impacts a world where those things happen every single day of the week and kids could be
like you're ultimately trying to save lives, which I think is what any product like ours is trying to do. It's trying to make the road a safer place for other people driving cars, pedestrians, cyclists. We've even had horses on some of the videos that we've done with people driving around in the west of Ireland. But it's exciting and it's really interesting. There's some gnarly problems to be solved there, and the technology, like there's a lot of talk about this kind of product right now in the industry of design and tech and stuff like that. It's where a lot of the focus is, and it's just really cool. Like, and that there's a lot of responsibility with that, right? Like designing a product for safety has a lot of ethics behind it, a lot of legal stuff behind it as well. Like we're thinking a lot about like the ethics around such a device as well. Like it is going into the cabin, you're in there with the driver, you're looking after the driver, but that also comes with its risks as well. So it's definitely challenging us, designing really good experiences that the drivers will enjoy as well, but also those safety managers get the benefit from the product. And definitely fun to work on. We got to design things that we never got to design before, which was like sound, which is really interesting, the psychology around like the sound and the words and the pitch and stuff like that. So that was really exciting. And it's just cool to be on like the cutting edge of something. Like we had a camera before that was really good, it did what it needed to do, but we obviously needed to bring it to the next level to compete in the market. So that meant like upping the tech and upping the design experience that we wanted to do, and definitely had its challenges. And look, we're learning from it and we're evolving it and shipping new stuff all the time. So it's a really cool product to be on. Like I never thought in my career that I would work on something like that. It's not something I thought, I want to work on trucks and cars and dash cams. It's not something I did for myself, but the problems there are really interesting to solve. And it's only going to get more interesting over the next few years when lots of talk about autonomous vehicles, smart cities, that kind of stuff. Like it's an interesting space to be in, and it'd be great to see where Verizon Connect goes with it next, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can there's a big question mark there, right? Is there? What's next? What's next?
Yeah,
and we have people like and we have people like yourself and You know, all the researchers, Alicia's crew, you know, right away across the business, and Alex, Francesco's crew, all thinking about that.
Yeah,
and
it's pushing us to learn and to be better. Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's pushing you to continuously learn about what's happening out there. Our customers, their needs, and even us with tech and design. Like, you're always having to learn something new and how you approach things and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely keeping us on our toes in every sense. So
yeah, it's awesome. So 2 things. One, congratulations, amazing product, culmination of years of work, right? Years of work,
and an amazing team.
Amazing
definitely
team.
Hundreds of hours and man hours involved in there. For sure.
Yeah, big time. And then on behalf of the parents of every 3-year-old crazy child in the world, thank you as well. Right. So So two final questions for you. If there are experienced designers out there in the world now, and Verizon Connect in Ireland, and you could argue globally, is known as a powerhouse of UX design and research and everything else. We have a really great reputation, so a lot of people are interested in coming to work with you. So what is your advice to that person who's out there? Doesn't matter what point they are in their career, because I think UXers tend to have kind of varied and interesting career journeys. But what's your advice to anybody interested in coming to work with you? And what's the coolest thing about working here?
Yeah, I guess it goes back to those 4 things that I said earlier, which is like, be willing to take on the responsibility to get things done. And like, we're a team of doers on the UX team, so to be seen to get things done. And I think just, you know, wanting to embrace the challenge. Like, there's a lot of challenges that we have with doing a product like this, and they're gnarly and they can be, you know, intense to try and solve. So be willing to take on the challenge, and just generally having a good attitude, wanting to work with others. And you know, you're a designer. Our role is to be empathetic to our customers, but we need to be empathetic to our cross-functional team, being seen to be working with others. And I think in terms of the coolest thing, I think I've spoken to a lot of people that have left Verizon Connect over the past few months, and it got me thinking. And I definitely think one of the coolest things is just the level of autonomy that you have here. And it's one thing a lot of people say they miss when they leave Verizon Connect. And like, we give our team so much control over the direction of it. I've never had the level of autonomy that I have here, and I would say it's very unlikely that I would get it again. Like, I get to make some pretty big decisions, and so do my designers. And you just kind of have at it, you know. I think that's probably one of the coolest things. And we want to hire great people to trust them to make those decisions and to help grow their careers. Like, particularly on the UX team, we're very focused on that, and having that autonomy helps do that, right? And it helps you build those leadership skills and take ownership and be part of. Like, there's nothing greater seeing the thing that you made a decision on make it to product than somebody using it. So I definitely say that the autonomy that you get and the responsibility right off the bat, for sure.
That's amazing. Yeah, and your words echo. There's a couple of themes that keep coming up when we ask this question, and the two at the top are people and autonomy. And you know, people like Dermot O'Reilly spoke about having so much autonomy you can pretty much design your own career. You know,
and it is like that in some parts of it, for sure. And so I definitely say that. Yeah,
it's awesome. Okay, and then that final question is, who should we talk to next?
I think you should talk to Kate Barrett. So Kate Barrett is one of our content writers. I think she'd be super interesting to talk to.
Awesome. Okay, Kate Barrett, you have been voluntold. We're coming to chat with you next. All right, Sarah, thanks so much for taking the time out to talk to us. Really appreciate it. Take care.
Great.
Okay, folks, there you have it. From having so much autonomy that you can design your own career, to being able to make decisions about products and experiences that save lives every single day of the week. You've heard it all there from Sarah. That's phenomenal and amazing to be able to look at the AI dashcam video alongside somebody who's been working on it quite literally for years, you know. So the culmination of a phenomenal journey for the team. Okay, so look, as always, we're going to leave it there. We're going to leave you with our 2023 Credo video that tells you a little bit more about who we are and how we show up. And we'll be back next week with another Fireside Friday. Cheers.
This is our Verizon credo. It's inspired our culture for almost 20 years. Think of it as a note to self, our declaration of values, a guide for our day-to-day.
Everything we do, we build on a strong network,
systems, and process foundation.
We know our products
and can explain them to customers.
We make it easy for customers to do business with us.
By listening,
anticipating,
and responding.
Integrity is at the core
of who we are.
We know teamwork enables us to serve our customers better and faster.
We run to a crisis, not away.
We deliver superior customer experiences through our products and our actions.
This is our credo.
It keeps us grounded,
aligned,
doing the right things.
It's about who we are,
how we work,
and most of all, who we work for.
We focus outward.
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 We focus outward.
on the customer.